A World Health Organization team in China to investigate the origins of the coronavirus has ended its mission without definitive answers to the question. On Tuesday, the team said the virus most likely jumped to humans from bats through an unknown intermediary species. Scientists also ruled out the possibility that the virus leaked from a lab in the city of Wuhan.
The stated goal of the World Health Organization's Wuhan mission was to identify the origins of the coronavirus, a mission they weren't able to accomplish. The SARS-CoV-2 may have originated from zoonotic transmission, but the reservoir hosts remain to be identified.
All the work that has been done on the virus and trying to identify its origin continue to point towards a natural reservoir of this virus and similar viruses in bat population.
It was here in Wuhan just over a year ago that the world's first cases of the novel coronavirus were reported. The city of 10 million went on a hard lockdown for 76 days. Only bare essentials were let into the city. This market, believed then to be the ground zero from where the virus spread, was closed down. Testing samples were taken, and it was fenced off. Wuhan's hospitals were swamped with patients, and the images of the new deadly disease traveled around the world. About a year later, WHO experts arrived in Wuhan. As well as scientific challenges, they faced diplomatic ones. Fears from the West that China might try to whitewash results, and fears from Beijing that the mission might be politicized. Scientists spent 2 weeks in quarantine, leaving just 2 more for field work, including visits to the Wuhan seafood market and the region's virological institute. Despite not accomplishing the mission's main goal, experts say they were able to all but eliminate a controversial theory that the virus had come from a laboratory in Wuhan.
The findings suggest that the laboratory incident hypothesis is extremely unlikely and to explain the introduction of the virus into the human population.
But the more pressing question, identifying the intermediary species that might have transmitted the virus from bats to humans, remains a work in progress.
Joining me now, one of the members of the WHO investigation team, epidemiologist Dr. Fabian Lendertz, is from the prestigious Robert Koch Institute here in Berlin and was assisting the team in China from right here. Dr. Lendertz, pleasure to have you on the program. Now, am I correct in understanding that the team isn't sure if the coronavirus originated in China?
We still have no good evidence for the place where the spillover has happened. That's right.
Do you think the team would have had a better idea if it had sort of been in China much earlier?
Well, you know, it's always the earlier the better because the tracks are still fresher. However, it's not too late. Many of the investigations on zoonotic diseases have started much, much later than this one. So I think there's still a good chance to find out what happened.
So you are convinced that there will come a time in our future that we will know where the coronavirus actually originated from?
This is a very complicated puzzle, especially since this virus causes often mild symptoms or no symptoms. So it's harder to follow back the tracks to the patient zero, the index case. However, I'm very confident that at some point we will know which bat species harbors the right virus, so the ancestor of all the human viruses, and perhaps we get an idea about intermediate hosts which may have played a role in the transmission. If we will ever find out where exactly and how exactly it happened, that's a big question mark.
The team spent about 1 month in China, of which 2 weeks were spent in quarantine indoors. Do you think this was sufficient time to try and investigate the origins of the coronavirus?
So the whole mission is taking much, much longer than that. We had discussions with our Chinese colleagues in the weeks before, and the mission still continues even if the team is not on site. So that was the maximum we could free our time for now. And the aim of this first mission was anyway just to see what the Chinese colleagues have done already, which data are there, and where are the gaps to design the future studies. So I think the time frame was okay for that.
Do you think the data that was shared with the WHO team from the Chinese side was sufficient? And did you find that the Chinese side were transparent and helpful in their dealings?
So the data are not sufficient, but not because they were hiding them from us. It's because they're not there yet. So these are these future studies which have to start now, and which will hopefully fill the gaps in that big puzzle.
No.
Our impression was that we did not get any evidence for them hiding concrete data from us. We got to saw some of the raw data, we discussed all the figures, and we really had in-depth investigations together. So the general gut feeling is a good one. However, as everybody knows who has children, you never know what they're hiding.
The team also said in the press conference that there could be a possibility of so-called cold chain transmission of the virus, which is to say that the virus could have spread through frozen food packaging, for instance. Now, this is a theory that China has been putting forward, especially in the past few months. Would you say, therefore, that China has been vindicated?
Well, so in the recent outbreaks in China, they have generated good evidence that those outbreaks had something to do with the cold chain and cold chain products. However, those are now new outbreaks starting in the middle of a pandemic, where there are lots of people around the world who can contaminate food packages. So the question, if that played a role also at the beginning of the pandemic, is something we need many more data on. And the food package is nothing where the virus is born, right? It's not coming from a food package. That food package has to be contaminated either by a symptomatic human or by an animal which carries the virus. And so that will be really difficult to pinpoint. So a little bit too much attention on the food package because it's just a vehicle, right?
Right. Now, a lot has been made about the origins of the coronavirus, and there has, of course, been a lot of politics and finger-pointing over it. But just scientifically speaking, do you think it's even important to know where the coronavirus originated from?
I think the most important thing is to understand how it emerged, because only if we understand a problem, we can try to take countermeasures in the future to reduce the risk of something like that happening again. If this event happened 10 meters to the left or to the right to a border between two countries, really doesn't matter.
Dr. Fabian Lendert, thank you so much for putting it into perspective. We'll leave it there for the time being. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you.